Do you mind doing the prayer?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God, we thank you for the opportunity to do the county's business today. And to be present in this meeting and to guide our commissioners as they make decisions to protect all of us. We ask you to watch over and protect our employees as they serve the county. In Jesus' name.
Sean's wanting a real quick executive session,
Right off the bat.
pretty quick. It'd be just like 5 minutes probably, or
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for 5 minutes with Sean. What is it for?
Is that personnel?
Yes.
5 minutes personnel.
I'll second it.
Motion to move and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There was no action. I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from last week.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion, we approve the claims in the amount of $480,934.75.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
David, you got anything right off the bat?
Got like the sheriff's fee report and some of that kind of stuff, if you want to go ahead and get that out of the way. Get hold of it. The sheriff's fee report for October.
Go over the sheriff's report. He's not here. Go over the sheriff's report first. Total prisoners in, 56, released 11, farmed out 0, farmed in 38, 77 911 calls, 3,977 jail contacts, 473 calls for service, 7 civil service papers served, 4 bin inspections, 7 cases opened, 9 closed, 7 vehicle crashes, 57 SRO activities, 219 bailiff contacts, and 11 livestock out. And then the end of the month report for the sheriff's department, which is the total for that end of the month is $96,658.88. This includes like the civil service out of state fees, report fees, fingerprint fees, concealed carry, offender fees, VIN fees, reimbursement for tow bills, Social Security, U.S. Marshal, inmate housing, transportation, and then inmate monthly payment. So that's what that includes. So I'll make a motion that we accept that.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Did have one other thing that was actually from another department. Amanda had planned on being here today. The bids for that classroom remodel were due last week, and she only received one sealed bid.
Okay.
So she had called and asked me if she could open that so she could be prepared, and I said, no, it'd be better to do it here. However, she's sick today.
Okay.
So she wanted to know if you wanted her to open that, or if we need to wait till next week and let you guys open it.
Wait till next week.
Okay, I can let her know.
Is that all you have?
I think so, and on that one, Gary, if that bid's not something they want, can they like directly contact contractors after that, since we've taken a bid?
Once
or-
they submitted the bid. If they reject the bid, then they can negotiate
Okay,
a deal if they want to.
but that'll be the first step, is just getting that bid open and see where to go from there.
Okay.
All right, AMR?
Good morning, Galen Anderson with American Medical Response. For ambulance transport numbers in the last 7 days, we've done 13 transports, a little bit slower than previous weeks. And so far in the month of November, we've done 10 transports. So next week I'll have a detailed report for October. And let's see, over the weekend, we did a standby for a motocross race in Pleasanton. Work with that race organizer to have an EMT out there for that event. And yeah, I think that's all we have going on. The paramedic, full-time paramedic that we recently hired, will be done with his introductory orientation after this week, and then be moved into his shift. So looking forward to that. Anything for me?
I don't have
I
anything.
don't have anything.
All right, have a good week.
Thank you, Galen.
Randy?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Hegwald, Linn County Emergency Preparedness and Rural Fire. I sent out the call summary for this week. Last week we had 11 incidents, brings our yearly total up to 387. The other thing we have is Atmos Energy donated $2,500 to rural fire. So we'll be putting that back into our account. Just want to thank the local Atmos workers. They're the ones that threw our name into that donation. So we appreciate that. Last weekend, emergency management held a Stop the Bleed class for the community that was well attended. Went really well. Just kind of watch our Facebook page. We're going to be doing some more trainings like that for the community out there. Other than that, I have nothing.
How many did you have?
We had 8 so we done an afternoon for the public, and then we'd done a morning class for firefighters and first responder, and we had 10 at the end. So had pretty good turnout.
Have we got anywhere on those mutual aid agreements with the cities? Have you talked, I mean, forward?
Right now, we're working on the radios, getting the radios in and make that part of the agreement. So we're moving forward on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean?
Sean West, excuse me, Public Works Administrator. Last week, we spoke about the annex roof. Randy took a look at it and recommended a material. It's not a membrane, but an elastic type material that would go on in 2 coatings, and he's locally sourced it. I can give you the numbers on it if you want to do this this week. I would recommend it this week because of the weather. We can apply the material ourselves in 2 separate days, 2 separate coatings, and have, I think it's a 15-year warranty on the product itself.
That's with self-application?
Yes.
It's a roll-on membrane, you said?
It can be rolled or sprayed. We would roll it on.
What is it?
It's Rust-Oleum elastomeric.
Elastomeric,
Yeah.
You used it?
yeah. Is there aggregate, like sand on top of the laydown that's up there right now?
No, it's felt with a deteriorated
But it's not.
tar coating. There's no sand or grit.
That's what I've had problems with, just installing on top of that and it not sticking right. But if there ain't nothing up there, I don't see why it would be a problem.
What kind of cost are we looking at on that?
Just north of 2,600. And like I said, we could locally source this week, or I could start calling around for bids, but he's got a bid locally that we could go with the material and get it done before the weather turned.
So, the 15-year warranty, they're just going to provide us more of the same product?
Yeah.
I'm going strictly off what is printed out here. I don't have a lot of,
Find a way to screw around it. I mean, if you just not applied right, they'll say.
Right.
They'll find any way, but if it's a material, and if you usually say that.
Okay.
And you have somebody that can do it to apply it?
yes. We have maintenance personnel apply it. And like I said, with the weather that we're supposed to have this week, I'd do it 2 days in a row after it's sat the first day, reapply the second, and be done with it this week before the weather turned. But that is, again, we've only got one bid, and we'd have to single source it and get it done this week.
One bid for the material, is that what you're talking?
Correct.
$2,600, so that'd be allowable.
The actual price is $26.25.
Yeah, I think it's important that we get going on it. I mean, the cheaper way,
Got good weather this week.
We,
I don't know, I don't watch it, I hate it.
yeah, and I would have to say with that price, we could eat that in damages if it continues to leak, over a couple rains, we could have
Before we
that.
get the new roof on.
Yeah, we could have that cost in damages alone, so.
Okay. You need a motion?
Yeah, what kind of motion do you need for that?
I think it'd be appropriate to have a motion in this case, even though it's within his spending range. I think because we want to be on the record in terms of warranties and things, I would go ahead and have a motion.
You wanna do like an allowable, like up to like 2,800, you wanna do like an allowable,
Yeah, why don't you allow a little,
like 2,800, I mean, is that,
We're gonna have to get the roller brushes, the other things, yes, that was just the material cost, so 28 would probably cover everything needed.
I'd make a motion that we allow Sean to proceed with the material, the roofing material to get this done while there's good weather and allow him to spend up to $2,800.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next thing I had is you should have received safety equipment bids. We reviewed the bids and are asking you to approve safety equipment from Fastenal for $10,405.82. The reason being is Fastenal not only had a appropriate bid for the equipment that we wanted, but it was a complete bid. The other two bids that we had did not include all the items we asked for.
Was this like safety or safety vest and things like that, or what is it?
Safety, gloves, equipment, vest, hoodies, reflective gear.
And that's stuff that we provide to new hires, right? Is that how, or what do you do with that?
We provide the new hires and we also provide so much material as it gets used up or equipment by our personnel that have been here as well.
I'll make a motion that we go with the Fastenal bid for $10,405.82 for safety equipment.
I'll second. Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item I had for you is a tire machine and a machine used to pull coolant from vehicles over at the Pleasanton shop. They're doing a lot of cleaning around those, and I needed some direction on it. These items are no longer serviceable based on the material being pulled from the vehicles now. This is an outdated machine. We don't believe this is something that we can sell or surplus because of the machine, the nature of the machine. We'll have to have it evacuated before we get rid of it. And the tire machine, from my understanding, has been disassembled and is no longer, at one point, they tried to repair it in-house and the machine's not been used in years. So if you don't have any objection, my intention is to surplus these items and scrap them once they're safe to scrap and the material's been evacuated from the machine.
What have we been using for a tire machine?
I'm sorry?
What have we been using for the tire machine then?
I don't believe they've been using that machine. We haven't had a mechanic in that shop for some time, and the machine's at one point was torn apart and they attempted to repair it some time ago, and it's pretty much scrap metal. But because these are registered on our property inventory, normally these items, if they were still serviceable or allowed, they would be auctioned. These items, I don't believe, are worth our time to auction.
So what kind of motion do you need for that?
at this point, I think just a consensus that you're going to allow him to do it. He'll bring you a surplus resolution, right?
for these items. If they're scrap, I can.
Anything we surplus,
Yeah, I think we still should.
Okay. I'll bring back, as long as you agree to it, I'll bring it back to you next week and we'll get rid of the items.
Sounds good.
The next thing I needed was consent to go out to bid for our biannual bridge inspections. These are inspections of over 190 plus bridges in the county. They have to be done every other year. And I also, in doing that, would like to also go out to bid for our on-call engineering, which needs to be done as well.
We need a motion for that.
I think just a consensus that it's okay to go out for the bids because your action will be when the bids come in, so.
Right.
I'm good.
I'm good with it.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
The next, I sent you a letter from Ham denoting a 13% increase on rock and material for 24. That was just advising you of the increases because obviously this will affect our spending and our budget for next year. I have a burial permit, BP 2023-09 for Page Enterprises LCC at 950 in Payne Road and 11366 Reese Road. These are water installations and new meters crossing the roadway. The foreman has already signed off on the permit, as well as I have. And the application, I believe, may not have been sent to you, because I got it late in the week, but that is the application in the.
I think that 950 in Payne Road's already done, isn't it? I think they was working on it this week.
I could not answer to that. I know that when I spoke to them, they told us that, weather permitting, they were going to try to get to these as quickly as possible. It is possible, after that we checked off on them and knew that the permit application, it's possible that work could have begun on those sites. I believe the biggest concern was weather and that 2 more applications for 2 more water installations will be coming this week or next. Because I was told 4 applications would be, or 4 sites would be applied for.
You know where this is at? You seen it working there?
Yeah, they did it last week. Right north of the office out there on the corner. Pretty sure it got done maybe Saturday.
How did we ever go out and check on this stuff?
As far as checking it for the locations, the foremen sign off on it and I do as well. But as far as checking it, we go back, depending on the installation, we went back on one this week and met with the companies that did the work. And we're actually going back in January and redoing one where they went through one of our culvert systems. And we had some road sloughing because of it. So we met them out there and they're agreeing to remove their lines and rebury them so that we can fix the damage and go back and repair the culvert.
Like on this with water crossings and everything, why don't we have a procedure for power holes too?
A procedure for what?
For power holes?
We do now, don't we? Don't we have an application for to go put a power
Yeah.
pole in our,
In our right of way.
we do now, but we didn't before that situation.
We should have.
Yeah.
Well, I believe the next one, I've got an application currently from Evergy, and we had to rework that application because their original engineering called for 2 poles in the right of way. So we spoke to them and told them that after the last incident was unacceptable, and I've got it. I'm waiting on the final paperwork to bring to you on that burial permit, but their original engineering called to put them in the right of way.
You guys got anything else on this?
I don't.
I'll make a motion that we approve the application for the construction and road right of way for BP 2023-09, which is, what was the Payne Road and East 950 Road in Payne. They're going across with a 2-inch water line, it looks like, or dead or water or something.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Last week, you asked me to work with a gentleman that came in and spoke to you about QuickCom cutting through a water main while we're talking about the water crossings or right-of-ways. I did not get anything yet in writing, but I did get a phone call from management at QuickCom, and they have acquired the invoice for the repairs of that and their intention, they'll let me know when it's done. Their intention is to write the check and take care of that after speaking.
Did you talk to the gentleman?
I'm sorry?
Does the gentleman know that that's what's going to happen?
Yes, yes. But as soon as I get the letter and the confirmation that that's done, I'll let you know. But that management at QuickCom told me that was their intention, and they got it approved by their supervisors.
Was it already on their radar? Did they already know about it?
They had I guess, a foreman report on it, and we're waiting for contact from the party, the landowner, but the foreman had made a report the day of the incident. So they were,
Fixed it already, the landowner had fixed it.
the landowner had fixed it through a contractor, and I believe they got directly with the contractor and have received the invoice, and their intent is to pay the invoice.
Okay.
So,
Back to this rock thing with Ham. They came in, less than a year ago, wasn't it? And talked with us in kind of a workshop.
Yeah, I can't, about a year ago.
Are we still doing tests on the gravel whenever we get it, or do we have a system on that now?
the foremans, and I believe the only gravel that we had a large issue with was the gravel we used for the chip seal. So Todd went out and inspected and worked that process this year.
This is a different one than we talked to the last time, I think. This is Ham.
This is Ham.
The other one, what's this?
Was
Mid-States.
Huh?
Mid-States or
What is his name? He was here.
Is it W? Was it W maybe?
I can't think of it. Whitaker. was
Whitaker.
here. Yeah, I think Whitaker's one to come talk to us about the rock last year too. It's one of them.
Because it says right here, they're doing the increase, but they've reached out to the sales team for specific details. Quoted projects will be honored. Do we ever go in there and negotiate? I mean, we got to be one of their biggest buyers, right?
I would have to assume that we're one of the largest purchasers from any quarry in the county.
Do we ever try to negotiate a bit of a discount or anything?
send it out for bid.
I'm not for sure how we would do that because we do the purchasing based on project location to keep the fuel down. So if we bid
We do use Whitaker's at Centerville.
yes,
Centerville here at Mound City.
depending on where the location of the project is to keep the fuel price down. But if we had a large project or wanted to bid X number of tons per year and have it laying on the quarry floor ready to pick up, like we do propane, we do so many gallons, this amount per year. If we wanted to do that, that is something we can look towards and see how much we buy each year from each quarry and determine what would be a safe amount to pre-purchase if they would allow that.
I'd like to look into it. I mean, because we're being charged the same price as the regular
Else.
Joe, and we spend upwards of hundreds of $1,000s on gravel.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to look into it and see what they say, because I know that I was kind of giving that guy hell here last year about trying to get a discount from him.
I will look into it and try to bring something back to you. But again, the first thing I'm going to have to do is get all the numbers so that we don't buy more than we use or undercut ourselves in that respect. But I'll look into it and try to bring it back to you. Along with that, on our lagoon project at the park, We have been given a price of $4 a ton from Ham for clay that is necessary to line that lagoon. That price includes us loading the material at the quarry. Based on their needs, their equipment, we would have to load the material and then haul it down to the park. It is the closest location, and this is material that we have to reline the lagoon with before we rip-wrap it.
They're gonna let us get in their equipment and load our trailer?
No, we're going to move equipment to the quarry to load it. The same equipment that once it's loaded and taken down to a staging area, the old bathhouse parking lot, once it's staged, the same equipment would go down and be moved to the park to complete the work.
To install it.
Yes,
And I mean, the quarry's what, a mile away?
roughly, yes. So just letting you know that we've made an arrangement, and the North Shops worked with them to get that clay and material we needed. We've had a difficult time trying to source that material so that we could finish this project. The next thing I had was culvert bids. After qualifying those, they would like your permission to go ahead and purchase from Wellborn Sales at the price of $40,626.38. And that is the lowest bid from the bids that we did open, and they met our qualifications.
That's a delivered price.
Yes.
So, we're not getting any poly culverts at this time, or it was just cheaper to go with the,
The steel was cheaper.
okay?
I can't answer to why, but it was cheaper, and the only poly we bid was, or purchase was the one that I asked directly that we had another poly section, and it was cheaper to just buy the second section and couple them together.
Can you say that price one more time?
$1,626.38. I'll make a motion that we go with the steel culverts from Wellborn Sales in the amount of $40,626.38.
I'll second it.
Motion to move and second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It was brought to my attention, and I got with Gary about a road in Centerville that apparently there's been a discussion about vacating in the past, but it has not been vacated. This road comes off of 1077 and up into our property. Elm Street in Centerville crosses just south of the fire station. I've got maps for you. I apologize. It came to me late last week and I didn't get it put out to you.
This is a platted road that doesn't exist. And there's a gully through there that you'd have to build a $2 million bridge to get across if you ever wanted a road there. It starts at the end of Elm Street, at the west end of Elm Street, and runs over to 1077. That's the section that needs to be vacated.
So the blue line.
Right. We vacated the alley just south of that at one time, but for some reason, we did not vacate that street. And it probably should have been at that time, but it wasn't.
What do you mean? Need a motion to just go ahead and start the?
Well, there's a procedure. You will, your first thing you do is approve this proposal to vacate. And then we have to publish it one time. And then we'll have a hearing on December the 4th. at which you will see if anybody has any comment, and if not, then you'll pass this order to vacate. I don't know if you've seen those or
Yeah,
not.
I've seen it.
Normally, we would have to give mail notice to property owners along that street, but the only property owner along that street is us.
So we own on both sides.
We own both sides.
So there's a proposal and an order. Which one do we need to approve?
Right, we give notice by the proposal, say, we're going to do this. If you got any problems with it, come tell us. Then we have a hearing, and then we pass the order actually doing it.
Okay.
That gives the public a chance to respond if they have any problem with it.
So right now we just need a motion for the proposal then.
Right. That's all you need at this point.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the proposal to vacate road Elm Street between First Street and 1077 Road in Centerville.
I'll second it.
Motion, moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
We'll sign this one later.
Yeah, on December 4th. And we didn't get that published. I don't know which one of you is going to do it, but doesn't have to go in this week. I figured the schedule so that if you don't get it in until next week, that's still.
Okay.
You want me to publish it?
I can have it done, and I'll make copies and have it published.
All right, if you want to do it, I'll just leave it for you.
Okay. I believe I sent you some information on GFL wanting to complete the reimbursements by the end of the year. In preparation for that, I had Al start moving material and told him to move more material down there so the reimbursements would be able to occur before the end of the year. If that's something you want to complete, then I'll have Al continue to take enough material to get that reimbursement back before the January 1.
So it's not going to just stay on our account.
I thought the way I read it, they were going to credit the account immediately to have it done before the first year, but then it would carry over on the account. Did I read that wrong?
No, I'll defer to you on that because I had enough going on this week. I saw it, but I may have made assumptions on that.
That's the way I read it, is that they were going to, let me double check and make sure that I read it correctly, because I think I did. I reported to the commissioners on it last week in executive session, that they had made this proposal, to alter the legal agreement between us. I'll check and make sure that's what it's, but if that's the case, then it might be to your advantage not to take extra down there. Just go ahead and run it out like you have been.
If that's the case, please let me know and then I'll adjust windage for that as well.
Now,
The-
is that something that we're going to, after we run out of credit or whatever there, are we going to assess that and see which, Iowa there, are we going to try to figure out what we're going to do there? What's the best option?
I'd say you want to cross that bridge when you get to it. You don't want to probably get into that now, I don't think.
No, I didn't know if it's on our radar though.
Yes.
We'll have to work the problem when we get there. Park House, I spoke to the person that was interested in it. The cost of moving it is cost prohibitive, so I got with Randy. He's going to schedule his training and get that done, and after the training, then we'll put it on the schedule and list for removing and reclaiming that ground.
Okay.
The only other I'm sorry, I had a couple. Senior Center, I sent you some cost updates on that. And you'll notice on those cost updates, I believe at one point early on, we may have looked at or approved a cost for painting the interior of the building. My question to you is, with the cost that we're going at or the rate we're going at, do you want to continue with that, or do you want to paint that in-house and pull back the funds for that, for the project? Because at this point, I think we're going to be close to our project limits. I don't think we're going to be over, but I haven't seen all of the billing come in yet. So if that's something you're interested, we can make arrangements to paint that ourselves, or we can go ahead and continue
that
with this
gonna-
bid.
Is that gonna? Yeah.
Delay us?
For us to do it ourselves,
Yeah.
I don't believe so, because it'll be painted before the flooring goes in. And that's something the time of year and weather isn't going to affect.
Okay.
I'm good with doing it in-house then.
Me too.
Me too.
Okay?
Do we need to retract that motion? And how do we do that?
I'm sorry, I was reading the,
We had approved a bid on 7/17 for $1,535 to go ahead and move forward with the painting, but we're gonna cheaper do it in-house. We got the manpower to do it, but we've already made a motion
so
to,
you probably should have a motion to rescind that, agreement.
I'll make a motion that we rescind the agreement we had on 7/17 for the painting of the elderly center and do it in-house instead.
I'll second that motion.
Motion to move and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Last thing I had for you was a citizen request about paving Devlin Road north of 2200 to the county line. I think this may have been brought to your attention before, but it was brought to our staff this week. And the citizen asked that it be brought up or brought to your attention that ambulance services in that area, they believed, would be better served not having to fight the railroad to get around on a paved road going north.
Don't we have something on like interconnecting roads for or ambulance or how do,
The only thing we have on connecting roads is when a county road runs through a town,
okay.
then that's considered a connecting link, and we have some responsibility for helping to maintain that.
I did inquire about funding for connecting roadways. This does not qualify. So if we were to slate this or see any value in the project itself, then it would be funded by us.
There isn't nothing for the ambulance service requirements for, okay.
How many miles are we talking? 3 miles?
3 miles.
Didn't we have a cost one time, what it was per mile to pave something, or to, was it chip and seal? Do you know?
I'm sorry, can you say that
One time,
again?
didn't you give us a price on either what it was per mile to chip and seal or pave or what? Didn't you provide us with a pricing one time?
I can, but that's based on oil and material at the time. Aggregate and oil, if you're talking about chip and seal. And then as far as pavement, if you asphalted it, it'd be even 3 miles, something that we'd have to put out to bid, because I believe our complete paving budget or asphalt budget this year only went, I believe, near 5 miles or 5.5 it was scheduled for.
Is it already paved in Miami County? To
Por-
the county
por-
line?
Portions of it, to my
think
understanding,
part of
are, yes, but they would have to finish portions of it to make it paved all the way through.
I thought Devlin was paved all the way north once it hit Miami County.
I don't think it is. I think it's
All
to
the
the
way.
bottom of the hill.
I think somebody,
Really?
the individual told me. he did.
Myself, I mean, just from being on it, Jim.
I think you're right, maybe a quarter of a mile
It's not,
is gravel.
Supposedly they've already talked to Miami County and Miami County's going to do it if we do it. That's what this individual told me, so. Is it something you guys want to look into and
The only thing I can do to help the conversation, I guess, would be go out to Todd and ask Todd to get you prices for chip and seal and or asphalt for that section to get you the estimates of, we wouldn't actually go out to bid for the asphalt, but based on this year's prices, he could calculate it out and tell you what numbers you're looking at.
It's only 3 miles away from 1077 running north to 7 Highway. You're saying that the issue is crossing the railroad tracks?
That's what I was told, yes. The issue's the train.
That's been their complaint up there is because there's no train tracks going that way. They can get out of there. Out of Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Other ways train goes through.
Wasn't this brought up 2 or 3 years ago? Didn't we talk about this?
I think it's been discussed several times.
What was our reasoning then?
I don't recall. Probably just the cost. And it seems like there was some discussion about, just paving a road here or a road there did not seem to be a wise management scheme. Rather, you ought to have a plan for how you're going to develop paved roads. But I don't.
Is there any way we can look in the meeting minutes from when we discussed that, or would that be too difficult to do?
I can try to find them, but
You can look up the surname of the individual that came with the request. I bet it would show up that way, wouldn't it?
probably, might get with Sean and see what I'm looking for in about
You
when.
remember who it was, don't you?
I think so. And you think it was 2 or 3 years ago?
I think so, yeah. I think Mike Page was still here. Pretty sure.
The last item I had for you, are bids from Con Equip. These are for the large excavator, and I would prefer, that I come back to you when our mechanic's here to explain those bids. Quite honestly, he needs to be here to tell you what the pros and cons and the cost evaluation of that's going to be. So as soon as he gets here to do that, I can go over that. Was there any interest on Devlin, of me asking Todd for just some very basic numbers to bring back to you?
I think that's all right. And then get with David on the meeting minutes and see why what we talked about here a few years ago, why, so I know it was brought up and we just never, I don't know what the reason behind it was, but why we didn't do it back then or discuss it even more. So.
Okay.
On that excavator, he's gonna talk about it today?
Yes. Yes, I'm not up on this enough to tell you, what your cost benefit's going to be as far as the cost of the equipment and the replacement cost and things. I would prefer he be able to tell you those things and also what evaluation he's done on the equipment. We did go ahead and purchase a part the last time we tried to look at this and thought, I want to say it was below $3,000 that we bought and hoped that it would repair it.
And
It didn't work. It was a gamble that didn't pay off. And this is pretty much either we want to repair the equipment or we want to cut our losses. So I'd prefer he be here to tell you what his evaluation of the equipment is.
In the meantime, is there any way we can look up to see kind of what jobs it's been on since in the last year and how much we've used it, or maybe in the last 2 years?
Look at the hours we're using. It might be cheaper to rent one than.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And can we reach out to a rental store and figure out what a long-term rental would be on a piece of equipment like that? That's equal size?
I can pull
It'll
you.
be a long-term rental. The more than we use it, I think if we,
Because
Yeah, just an occasional rental, we'll probably.
yeah.
I can pull the numbers on the hours for you. As far as the rental stuff, that'll take a while to look at.
right.
But yeah, I can pull those hours. And I would probably think we can pull them back maybe 3 years and show you what.
be detailed, just maybe what the hours were 3 years ago and what they are now, and kind of.
Okay.
How long it's been broke down?
I'll try to get those numbers to you.
Because it's not going to be putting any hours on it if it's.
I think it broke
And I'll-
down when they were demoing this
Yeah, I sat there forever. Yeah,
over here.
last winter, 2 winters.
The car wash.
Car wash.
And I know we used it on 2 bridges early on as well. But one of them was Zener before we left that project.
I got a question. Is that all you had?
Yes.
I have a question on the elderly there at the Methodist Church in Pleasanton. I know they kind of took them in and are helping with them. Are we providing them with any funds or anything to help with that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can we check in with that and see if they need, I mean, because we have it budgeted to, daily use of, for our elderly. Is that something we need to try to look at and see if we need to give them some funds to help? I got an email or a text asked me why we just kicked the elderly out and left it on the Methodist Church and how dare us, and it was not a very good conversation. So I just want to be sure that we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing.
We were making arrangements and then talking to management there at the building. They came up with the alternate of the Methodist Church, asked me to put on hold any arrangements we were making, and then made their own arrangements with the Methodist Church and got it approved through ECA. This is something that they had asked for. We were in the process of making arrangements to move them to another location that the county owned. They asked to do this. We have gone back and tried to look at a railing that was wobbly at the building, but before I do a whole lot in the building, I'd have to make contact with the church or anything to make sure that we're being respectful of their building and not doing things that.
But that's all I want to know too, is, make sure that we're not putting them out of, putting them in a bad spot or something, and make sure that we're greatly appreciative of what they're doing for us. So,
Okay.
you guys good with that?
Yeah.
That's all I had for it. Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Here, you got anything?
Nope.
What's our next, we got Darren at 10:30, so we're running a little.
I don't think there's any reason that can't be done at any time, is there?
I don't think so. The only thing I'd wonder is if there were people coming for that, if they are here, I don't know.
Are the applicants on the Regina's CUP here? Are you the applicants? Okay. And you are here on that same issue, right?
Okay.
You guys, we're good with starting a little early on that, if Darren's ready? See if he's ready.
Good morning, Commissioners. Darren Wilson, Planning and Zoning Director. I've got a conditional use permit, case number CUP 23-01 for Regina's Rescue, commonly addressed as 8414 West 2200 Road, Parker, Kansas. Notice was properly posted in the official county newspaper on January 18th, 2023. In addition, notice was sent to owners of all properties within 1,000 feet pursuant of the state law and the Linn County zoning regulations. Analysis. The said property is 18 acres and the adjoining properties are zoned agricultural. The subjective property is currently zoned agricultural. The property is fronted along West 2200 Road, utilizing a singular ingress and egress. This application for a conditional use permit is to permit the applicant's desire to be authorized to operate an animal shelter and pound. All necessary notification to surrounding landowners has been made by United States Postal Service and publication of notice of hearing in the official county newspaper. Kind of a timetable on this. Planning and Zoning heard this case on February 14th. It was tabled until July the 11th. On July the 11th, it was tabled again, waiting on the state for renewal of license and discussion and decision from state's legal team on revocation of license. It was put back on the agenda October 10th. Planning and zoning voted 6-0 to pass for recommendation of this conditional use permit. There was an inspection done on October 9th that they were not aware of. The day before the hearing was continued, I made contact with the state inspector. It received an unsatisfactory and was able to continue to operate, and it received a $200 fine. October 25th, I reached back out to Mr. Lancaster. He verified that there is no change with the state regarding this case. Findings from the Planning and Zoning Commission. The location under review is 18 acres in an area largely zoned agricultural with some ag residential, and the tract is zoned agricultural. This use is compatible with the character of the area. The tract is suitable for the proposed use. The proposed use could detrimentally affect nearby properties. Staff received testimony by email and phone conversations expressing concerns about noise and odor problems and their effect on nearby property values. Staff investigated, did not bear out any noise or odor problems off of the property. While the concerns in Section 3 could detrimentally impact public health, the balance of evidence is that the use could benefit public health, safety, and welfare by providing a safe place for the public to take stray animals. The use as proposed could conform to Linn County zoning regulations. The use must be licensed by the Kansas Department of Agricultural, and to date, the applicant has received unsatisfactory results continuously, and her license could be revoked. Without a state license, the conditional use permit would be a moot subject. The applicant has operated without a conditional use permit for some time. Conditions that the Planning and Zoning Board recommend with their approval of this: the building to house the animals must be completed within 1 year and comply with the state regulations inside the building and kennels. Sanitation for indoor runs must be installed by October 10th, 2024. Screening around outdoor pens must be in place by October 10th, 2024. Applicant must comply with required setbacks for outdoor pens from property line per Linn County zoning regulations. County will inspect periodically to determine compliance with conditions. County will document complaints from neighbors regarding the site and will take those into consideration in any renewal, application, or revocation procedure. It must maintain a state license, 50 total sanctuary, rescue, and personal dogs and cats. That's 50 total of everything together. And renewal of conditional use permit in 1 year.
What was the vote of the board on this?
6-0.
Looks like we got a letter. Tom? Can we want to allow him to speak?
That's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
What do you guys think? You want to hear, Brown? He took the time to write a letter. I'd like to hear what he say.
Okay.
You good with that, Jim? Tom, you want to come up and explain or tell us what your name is and where you're at and concern or whatever you got going on?
I can tell you, and I can probably speak for most all the neighbors that have been to all the planning and zoning commission meetings. The biggest complaint is the noise, period. I don't think anybody would have a problem with any of it if it wasn't for the noise. Well, when you know, this thing first started out several years ago, it may only been 10 dogs. Well, when you go from 10 to 100, that makes a lot more noise. Now, I know in the cup, it says 50. I'm not sure from time to time how many animals they have over there, and I really don't care. However, you can hear the dogs barking just like yesterday. I'm sure there was some kind of dog fight. I could hear people yelling. I could hear the dogs going off. I guarantee you it wasn't feeding time. And dogs are going to fight. I mean, I get all that. Anyways, so that's one of my concerns. My other concern is they've been doing this for 8 years. The conditions over there haven't gotten any better, which begs the question, maybe what we need to do is limit the number of dogs so that, number one, the noise problem goes away. That's gonna solve your guys' problems. Okay, get rid of the noise and it's gonna solve Darren's problems. Financially, they are asking for money weekly for this, that, and the other. I'm not a Facebooker, but I've just had people send stuff to me constantly. And here again, to me, the answer is lower the number of dogs and we're not going to have to ask for dog food every week. We're not going to have to ask for this, for that, for this, for that. That's my concern. The other, and there have been some comments from the planning and zoning that, you know, we build this new state-of-the-art building. It's going to help pay taxes. That's true. It's going to help the county in revenue. That's true. However, there's already been one for sure. There's two that are in limbo. This little 30 by 40 shed is going to generate X number of dollars a year. Go start putting in $200,000 or $300,000, $400,000 houses. What's that worth to you? So you gotta look at both things. You also need to look at, you know, everybody else's property that's already there. So my biggest concern, and I can tell you, I bet you I can get 100% of the neighbors to agree with me on this, and that is if we lower the number of dogs, that takes care of the noise problem. That takes care of everybody's problem. Everybody's problem's gone. Okay? If you had 1 million cats there, I wouldn't care because they don't make any noise. But you want to sit out on your deck and have a steak some night and you got to sit there and listen to dogs barking. Gets a little old. I guarantee you, any one of you, if you come sit at my house or you own my house, you'd be here in this podium today. You'd be here, guarantee you. I got a list of people a mile and a half away that can hear these dogs. I'm not the only one upset. I just got notified because I was 1,000 foot away. My house is 1,800 foot away, and I can hear them plain as day. Darren claims he'd been up there a time or two, hadn't heard anything. He must have been he must have been there on a good day. I can just tell you. And I challenge any one of you guys to come listen. So my thing is, I think the easiest solution is cut the numbers down. Something they can afford to do. Keep the neighbors happy, and everything goes away. You got a letter from me. There's some other concerns in there. We can talk about them if you'd like. I guarantee you, everything in that letter is 100% accurate. Period. Guarantee you. So, according to some of the stuff I read on Facebook, just like this morning, you know, we're not starting a hunt club over there. Okay. Nobody's doing that. I mean, some of this crap that's been posted is just for sympathy. Anyways, so other than that, you guys got any questions for me?
I don't.
Thank you for coming in and talking to us.
Thank you,
Okay.
Tom.
Yep.
You want to give the applicant an opportunity to
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Regina, you or anyone on your team want to come up and speak and?
Okay, so I'm Regina. I run the rescue. We have 52 dogs right now. 52 dogs, 10 cats. That's it. That's on my license. Okay, our license was brought back to us. We have it. It's good for a year. The dogs do not bark. We did not have a dog fight yesterday. They bark and carry on when we feed them, obviously. And if anybody knows anything about a rescue or shelter, you always ask for help and donations. It's just part of the job, you know, because that's how you keep them running. We get grants now and then, but most of the time we're asking for help, and we have a lot of followers that keep us going. And we've been going for 8 years because of all the help we get from all our friends and followers, and that's how we can take care of all the dogs. We've rehomed 2,000 dogs to good homes and rescued those dogs and got them to good homes. Now, the other complaints he's talking about, the building we're going to put up is going to be insulated. We're only going to have 40 dogs in the building, 4 or 5 outside for the sheriff's department because we help them all the time. And then we're going to have we have a cat little building we're going to set up for cats outside also. Other than that, we always ask for help. Every shelter does. You can ask anybody that runs a rescue. You always ask for help. That's just part of it. And we have people that believe in what we do, and what we do is good things. We reach out to the communities. We go to the rural communities that can't afford things. We give shots, worming, chipping free. If we have extra dog food, cat food, we give it to them. We try to help everybody in the community. We help the sheriffs, every sheriff department around here, we help. If they need help with a dog, we go get it. It's just the way we work. So I don't know what else to say other than we're doing good things for the community. We're not doing anything bad by no means. You guys are welcome to come out and see our place anytime. We're not afraid of that. We've never hidden on what we do. And as for the noise, they're going to raise Cain when you feed them. You know, they all do. But they do quiet down. And many people can attest to that, believe me. Because believe me, I don't want dogs barking all the time either. Other than that, you have any questions for me?
Can you talk a little bit about the permits through the state?
My permits that my license. Well, when you run a rural rescue, you have outside pens, and they'll ding you for a little bit of rust, a little like a wire that's loose. The last one that was unsatisfactory was 2 things. It was a wire that was loose, and there was some rust on one of the kennels. So we fixed it. They give you 30 days to fix that. He'll be out today probably because it's been 30 days since we saw him, and everything's been corrected that he tells us. That's how they come out and check you.
So I guess my question is so you haven't had permits in the past or?
Or a license in the past?
Yes.
I've had a license for 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you this, and this is God's honest truth. I have never had a complaint from any of our neighbors for 8 years until this happened in February, when this man bought the property next to us. Then all hell broke loose, pardon my English. And then you got to understand too, I'm not the only rescue out there. There are 3 other rescues right down the street. So it's not just me if you hear dogs, it's not just my dogs. I hear dogs barking all the time from those rescues, but I'm not going to complain. They're doing a good thing.
So just to be clear, there is the state license, and then there's the conditional use permit
Right.
that comes from us. Those are
Right.
separate things.
Yes.
Correct.
She's had a state license. There have been violations
Yes.
of that state.
And we corrected them.
And it's my understanding that because of some of those violations, it's now actually under review with their legal department for possible revocation.
Right.
And so they're considering revoking the license. If you grant the CUP, it is contingent upon the license being valid.
Right. Exactly.
So if you grant the CUP and the license gets revoked, the CUP goes away.
Right. Exactly.
This isn't a renewal on a CB. How long have you been running it out there?
8 years.
8 years? How come we've never,
I never came in for whatever this cup. I never knew you had to have a cup thing ever until this came up about ever.
We typically,
Let me get down. Let me sit down.
I'll stay right here. She came in and was asking about building permits at the very first of the year and showed the site plan and everything. And after I reviewed it, it was obvious that she had to have a conditional use permit. Why one hasn't been issued up until this point, I can't answer that.
I can't
I
either.
wasn't here.
your options, commissioners, are basically three. You can approve this conditional use permit based on the conditions that have been suggested by the Planning and Zoning Board. You can reject it, or you can send it back with a request that they either do a general review of the conditional use permit or that they consider specific revisions you'd like to see. For example, if you wanted to cut the number of dogs down from 50 to something else, you would need to send that back to them and say, consider this as a revision. Then, once they have had that referral and have had an opportunity to consider it, it will either come back to you or they won't take any action. In either case, then, you're free to make whatever revisions you want. But you can't make revisions until you send it back to planning and zoning at least once.
Can I say one thing? On the planning and zoning, we came to a number of dogs to have there. It was 50, right? 50 total.
50 dogs.
50
and
total
cats.
dogs. So that's what we set at.
So what happens if you take over 50? Is there any repercussions for,
We won't, we can't. I'll send them to another rescue. I work very closely with Always and Forever in Spring Hill, and I can always send an animal there.
If they consistently were in violation, it'd be a violation of the conditional use permit and it could be revoked.
Right. And we don't want that. We want to work with the community. That's our main thing, and help them. And believe me, we don't make money on this. No. We live on Social Security.
How will we know if your license has been revoked? Will we receive notice?
You will.
Yes.
You will.
And what will our actions be at that time?
Stop everything.
I'm assuming that we would have to have a public hearing to actually revoke that.
I don't think a public hearing is actually necessary. I think
Okay.
if that's one of the conditions, you just simply take it. The planning and zoning requests that you revoke the conditional use permit and you act in here to revoke it. No hearing is necessary.
And if it's revoked, then she'll be in violation of the zoning regulations, which I'll send out letters for her to appear in court, and then it'll be up to a judge to decide what the ramification is, whether it be fines or whatever that is.
We don't want that to happen, believe me. And we already have a building to get put up. I paid for it already. We're just waiting for them to come do it.
And why didn't you recommend approval of this to the planning and zoning board, Darren?
Because of the state license. The legal team, from my understanding from Ben Lancaster, is that they're way behind and they're waiting to go through her license. And as soon as Ben knows something, they will contact me and let me know. But Ben says that every time it comes out, there's always something that makes it unsatisfactory. And I understand what Regina's explaining. It may be rust or whatever, but apparently there's an issue every time. So that's why they've sent it to their legal team to make a decision.
And you gotta understand, when they come out and look what you do, you have satisfactory, unsatisfactory, nothing in between. So it's gotta be pristine when they come out there. And with an outside rescue, you're gonna have some little things happen, but we try to correct it. They're just little dings, and people don't understand that. They're not a major thing. It's just a little ding like the rust, the wire, something we have to fix. They give you 30 days to fix it. And then they come out, like I said, he'll probably be here today because it's 30 days since he was out there prior. And once we get the building built, we won't have all those issues because everybody will be inside a building. And it will be insulated and the noise will be lower.
Did you say the capacity of the building was 40?
40. And like I said, 4 to 5 outside for the sheriff's department will help them.
what do you mean help them?
The sheriffs call us, like we were called, 2 weeks ago, Mike, for the accident? For an accident where there's 2 dogs, we were in the truck in Mound City, and the one passed away and one was hurt. They called us to come take the dog. So we went out and got the dog, took him to my vet, and then they came back to my place to recuperate. And then the owner, when he got out of the hospital, came and picked up his dog. That's how we help the sheriff's department.
So you basically serve as a dog pound for the,
Well, I guess you can call it, yeah. And when they find a dog in the wintertime, cold, freezing, they call us.
So right now you don't have a license? Is it expired?
yes,
on-
it
No,
has
I
a
got
license,
license.
but it's under review.
Right.
So why in July we were waiting on the renewal at that time and we're still waiting on the renewal?
No, I got a license. I can show you my license right now. I have it here.
But
It expired September 30th. So they tabled it till after September 30th to see if the state was going to renew it or
That
not.
was a 2022, right?
No, 2023.
That's maybe a typo.
It says 2022 on here.
That's probably a typo.
So they waited till after the renewal to act. And so it was renewed in September, but it's still under review for possible revocation because of the violations. It's normally that would be decided at the time of the renewal. We're going to renew this or not. But because the legal department up there is so far behind, they went ahead and renewed it so she could continue to legally operate under the license, but they gave her notice that it could be revoked. That makes sense. It's like if I give you your driver's license, I'm gonna renew your driver's license, but I'm gonna put a restriction on it.
okay.
So whenever you apply for a license, do you have to provide them with like a business plan of, how you're going to sustain their operation or anything like that? Or did you provide any of that to
Well, you have to fill out an application, and then your vet has to come out and inspect your area also, make sure everybody's fine. You have to fill out the app, how many animals you have. And there's certain things we are 100% no-kill shelter. So we have to make them aware of that. And then the vet comes out and does his inspection. We send it in and get a license.
Is it always this hard to get it renewed?
That's how you do it every year.
This is how it goes every year.
Every year. Same thing. And my vet is Linn County Vets, so if you need to contact them.
Tom, you raised your hand. Did you want to say something?
One of the things that I was a little frustrated with, and similar to the other landowners around there, is when we started in February and July, we talked about other restrictions like perimeter fencing, sound attenuation on these buildings. Can't think of something exactly, but on that letter, it clearly states what I was talking about. Now, when we get to the night of the vote, first of all, we have a motion without any restrictions. Well, then we start discussing things and we start putting restrictions on. But, and which I really thought was ironic, I think the CUP before, the board was very concerned about perimeter fencing. We go to the next subject, okay? But that's not important. So I guess what I'm saying is in according, if you read my letter again, myself, the board, even though the vote was 6-0, but there were 3 people missing, one of which you guys fired and 2 other absences. But what I'm getting at is I don't think that they maybe looked at everything. And here's another thing too. This is not the first rescue, second or third. We're going to have more. Now it's time to cross your T's and dot your I's with these regulations. Otherwise, you guys are going to be wasting hours of your life on Monday mornings talking about this stuff. So I just want to bring that up.
Okay.
We have put up a perimeter fence on the west side. We are 1,700 feet, I think. because that was a new gentleman that bought the property, so we put a fence up there. We have a fence on the other side. He needs to correct where he broke down the fence and do some oil stuff. So if we need perimeter fencing, it's been done. We're trying to accommodate the best we can.
Yeah.
When we talk about fencing, barbed wire fence, one exactly. Hold it.
That side is not barbed wire fence. Do you want to
Guys,
go?
I don't want to get into an argument over that. We'll just, hold on for a second. Darren? How you guys feel? And why is it coming to us right before the license get renewed? Why didn't we just wait until after we heard from them?
That's what Darren recommended. He recommended not approving it until the license issue had been dealt with.
Well, we got the license, so.
You got the license
Right.
until the revocation possibility had been dealt with. Wasn't that essentially what you did there?
Yes.
And the board did not follow that recommendation. So it's come to you.
I think I'm in favor, I think I'd favor with Darren on this. Is it, I mean, to revoke their CUP after we give them one, it's a process, correct?
Yes.
Unless we put it in to where if her license is revoked, then it automatically revoked, right?
You'd still need to take action, but you wouldn't have to have any public hearing or anything.
Have we been on site and done all this?
Yeah.
I mean, is there any,
So I've made a few trips out there and looked at the site. I actually met with Ben Lancaster out there when he'd done one of his prior inspections. And one of the things that is a continuous unsatisfactory is wind blocking for the animals that are outside. He said it happens every time he comes out. Feces, cleaning the pens out. But as far as noise, I've been to the property a couple of times. The dogs are loud when you first get there, but they calm down. I've been out there in the evenings and sat on the road to see if I could hear the dogs bark, just random. I've not heard anything. Sean and I was actually out there looking at something else, and we pulled into Tom's driveway and set up there, and we never heard animals barking. It was probably 11:30 in the morning. But again, it stems on that state license. And I know that she's got one that's current, but they renewed it just for the fact waiting on their legal team instead of shutting her down, giving her the benefit of the doubt to let her continue to operate until their legal team makes a final determination. And Ben did not give me an idea of when that would be.
so
That's my biggest issue with this is the fact that the license been renewed, but it doesn't seem like it's being complied with.
because typically it wouldn't go to their legal team, correct? I mean, would I be talking outside my mouth? I said they're just kind of the continuous infractions, they're just kind of,
So Ben said to me, normally if there's continuous unsatisfactories, then it goes to the legal team for them to make a determination whether to continue the license or to revoke it. And that's the stage we're in right now.
What's the process of the continuance of this operation with where we're at, whether with the cup or not with the cup? I mean,
I'm not quite following.
if we don't.
if we don't
Okay,
give her the cup, does she continue operating until the state?
if you deny the cup, she'll have to cease operating or we'll take her to codes court.
That's what I'm saying, but then how long does that happen?
Huh?
How long does that take though?
Well, that'll take, we'll have, codes court tomorrow. She won't be there tomorrow. So it'd be 2 months
Okay.
before that, before.
2 more months in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, one option is to approve it the way it's come to you. That's an option. The second option is to deny it the way it's come to you. And then we would have to take steps to get it shut down. The third option would be to send it back, ask the board to review one or more conditions, and you could theoretically ask them to hold it until the state license issues have been dealt with. I mean, you could theoretically ask them to do that. If they don't hold it and send it back to you just like it is, then you could table it till then. Does that make sense?
So basically, over the last 8 months, I haven't sent notification of violations of the zoning regs because she's been in the process of trying to get this done one way or the other. So that's why she's continuing to operate until there's a decision made.
And I am the only rescue in the area.
I thought you said there were 2 or 3 down the road.
Well, they're a breeding rescue. They only do one breed. One's an Aussie breeder, the other one's a Cavalier breeder, and I do all dogs. I'm not picky. I get the ones that are hurt and abused. And as for the feces problem, we hired help for that. So we have somebody come in 5 days a week to help us clean the kennels. And we put all the guards, wind guards up, and the heaters in for all the dogs for the cold, till we get the building built. Like I said, you guys are welcome to come out there and see it. We're not trying to hide anything, that's for sure.
Are we allowed, I mean, would it be, is it our business to ask for a business plan or a way that they're gonna sustain it with, I mean, is that,
It's not, I don't think it falls under our regulations, no. I mean, sometimes applicants for certain kinds of conditional use permits do offer that.
We can do that. We can do that. If you guys want something like that, we can do that.
I think you'd probably fall more into that if someone was asking you for funding than you would for approval. So you,
Right.
And we're a 501c3, and that's why we ask for donations.
right?
We're a nonprofit, as most rescues are.
I think I'm with, on option 3, Gary had stated, I think that's where I'm at. But I don't want to see, you know, we're not really denying it today, right? I mean, we're
You
just,
would, if you take that third option, you would not be denying it today. You'd be sending it back to the board of planning and zoning, asking them to review one or more conditions, whether you want to spell those out or not, maybe the number of dogs or whatever, and asking them to consider holding it until the license issues have been done.
and they'll continue to let her operate as is.
And implicitly, yeah, to let her operate as is until that time.
How you guys feel?
That's where I'm leaning.
And if you decided as an accommodation to lower the number of dogs before you met with the planning and zoning again,
We are.
that might be
Problem solved.
that might be a solution that everybody could live with.
How many dogs are you talking?
You know what, here's the thing, I heard her mention she had, I think she said 52. I don't know what the right number is. All I can tell you is, from time to time, I'm sure the numbers move up and down. I know she does on weekends, she rehomes this and this. I don't know what that number is. All I know is, if she said there was 52 yesterday afternoon, about probably 1 to 2 o'clock, he thought there was a war going on. Was there a dogfight yesterday or something?
There was
I heard
not.
a bunch of yelling and screaming.
There was not a dog fight at our place. There never is.
Well, I don't know where I heard the noise from.
There were dogs bark because we were feeding them and cleaning them.
Well, anyway, if you could work out a number that,
We honestly want to get down to 40 dogs.
and
That's
they
what
would
we
all
wanna-
be
And they
inside.
all be inside. We want to get down to that. 'Cause we don't want to
So-
have that many. We've never had 100 dogs, but okay.
So what if we put a limit in place until you got your inside kennel done? And maybe that's what we want the planning and zoning to look at? That there's a
That would be-
limitation in place
That would be a possibility.
prior to the kennel being constructed. And also, I still think that the other issue is the state inspections and the possibility of it being revoked.
How often do they come out and check the facilities?
To come check, like Ben does.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of complaints recently. I've done this for 8 years. I've never had a complaint. And since February, I've had a lot of false claims sent in about us. And every time Ben comes out, it's been not true, whatever they were sent out for. But they come out once a year usually. They only have 3 inspectors for the whole state of Kansas. So they don't have a lot of people out there. But I used to see him once a year, that's it. But this year I've seen him. I said I'm gonna start cooking him breakfast because he's there in the morning, like every 2 months, on false allegations.
Commissioners, can I explain something else?
Mhm.
So with the number of dogs, on top of the number of dogs set, that's why the planning and zoning put total, because on top of the number of dogs that she can have for the sanctuary, the state will allow her to have 19 personal dogs. So if it was set at 50, for the sake of the conversation, she could have 19 more dogs than the 50. But that's why they put a total of cats and dogs, and it said, personal, sanctuary, and
At 50. And that's what we want to get, believe me.
So what happens if you're over 50? You just turn the dogs away?
No, we take them to another rescue. Like I said, always and forever. Osawatomie Pound, I know them very well. Prairie Paws, we all work together to try to help these animals. Right now I have 52. I have a pregnant mama, and we're trying to get down that number. And unfortunately, with the price of dog food and stuff, adoptions are down. People can't afford it.
Is there any way we can get a report from Inspector Ben or,
so I have the last report that states unsatisfactory.
Is that it? No, that's the old one. I don't think I have that one with me.
I may have to print it off.
that's fine, you don't have to. Jim, what do you think? I think I'm with Jason,
So that's, it's gonna go back to you.
the way you were talking about, putting those regular, stimulations on it. And
Asking them to review the number of dogs until the outside shelter is complete, or the indoor shelter is completed.
Now you gotta give me time to rehome them, get them places.
So it'll have to be sent back then, and then I'll sit this month, and then,
Right. If you send it back, you send it back with some written directions. And those written directions would, as theoretically say, you want them to consider lowering the number of dogs in total, want them to consider requiring that all dogs be held inside, want them to consider a limitation, a more severe limitation until the building is ready, and you want them to consider holding action until the license issue has been dealt with. Okay? I mean, those are possibilities that you could, and if that's what you wanted, we could prepare that and send it back. When's the next planning and zoning meeting?
November 14th.
14th.
should we put dates and
Huh?
numbers on it? I mean, dates and numbers, dates on,
We're just sending it back for them to consider revision.
You're sitting in the back saying,
does this change your operation any then? I mean, what we're doing right here, does it
what,
change?
what, the understanding would be that they would continue to operate as they are until they act.
That's what I'm saying, until we get it back.
Unless she figures out a way to moderate the number as a sign of goodwill.
Right, I will.
Tom, you have something?
Since it sounds like you're going back to planning and zoning, I would like you to, just as a suggestion, look at all the restrictions. She mentioned she has perimeter fencing. She puts some, I don't know what you call it, 2x4 wire on one side. That doesn't take care of the other 3 sides. Okay, the rest of the barbed wire. The other thing is, and I think you asked me what the right number of dogs is. Obviously, and we've talked about in these meetings about sound attenuation panels on this building as well. If if those panels are in the CUV, they might be able to increase the cost. If they don't put it in, we might have to alter. I know this, she made the comment earlier here that she's never had my dog, but I got a Facebook post, she had 98. She posted, I mean, I think it's in the planning and zoning packets. But anyways, it doesn't matter. I did not interrupt you, so don't interrupt me.
Okay.
The only thing I'm saying is to say, let's look at all this stuff because, hey, at some point, this is gonna come up again.
Does the state have any regulations on sound panels and stuff like that that they recommend for you?
No, there's just a few things that they require for indoors. The state doesn't require sanitation. That was actually a condition put in by planning and zoning. They do require exhaust fans and ventilation, and there's a few other things that they require that Ben hasn't sent to me yet.
And we do the concrete floor too.
Well, right.
So if you are in a consensus that you want to send it back, I can draft the instructions and bring it to you next Monday that would list several of these possible revisions. Then you can make your final decision which ones you want to include and send it back, so they'll have it for Tuesday night to,
So I do have a question. November 14th is obvious, the open forum with, for Article 14. It's going to be a long meeting, I suspect. I mean, there is a time frame set on it.
Are we going to know about the license by then?
no.
I can't answer that.
They say they're 4 or 5 months behind, isn't that what they said?
Yeah, they said that they're months behind. So
So I don't see where there's an issue in pushing it off
To December.
based off the fact that we're not going to have that stipulation.
So we can set it for December's meeting and go over the questions
Over
that
the
you
next
have.
week.
And that way it doesn't interfere with the November 14th meeting. Because I've already got a zoning change, a plat to hear that meeting before the Article 14. It will probably take 10 to 15 minutes to do the plat, and it was already scheduled, so.
You guys good with that? You good?
I am.
Okay, so we'll table it to next week and then
Come back with,
act to refer it back to.
you guys good with that?
Okay.
No action at all today then.
Right.
Okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Again, commissioners, I just wanted to put the reminder out, November 14th at 6 o'clock here at the annex. And that's 6 o'clock. Our normal meetings are 7. They changed the time to 6. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you.
Sean, you got something?
I believe you have copies of the bids on this part. And I looked up those hours. Joyce got those to us from 10/1/20 to current. The machine has been used or accumulated 194 hours.
From 120?
10-1,
10/1/20.
10/1/20.
3 years.
years.
I think I'd rather rent that.
60-some hours a year.
Then got Daniel here to speak on the machine, the cost of the original cost of the machine and the part that he's looking at as far as what it will and won't do for the machine.
Good morning, Commissioners. Daniel Parsons, Linn County mechanic. Near as I can tell, this machine was purchased through Victor L. Phillips for a cost of $134,000. $1,060. It was bought new. It's a 2005, excuse me, model year. Total hours on the machine is 3,882. I believe it broke down around April or May. And I've been trying to source the valve, the main control valve to fix it. When I approached you before, it was almost 30,000 for the valve through the source that I had. After doing more research and more digging and hours on the phone, I found a source through Conequip. They have one for 14,000. They'll be shipped out of Japan. Take 2 to 3 weeks to get here. I've had them on hold, holding the part for me for about a week now. So getting kind of time sensitive. I had to do that just to be able to present this to you and for an approval. Last time I was here, I had researched past auctions for the same machine. The most that I found at the time that a machine brought was 70,000. However, it had almost twice the amount of hours that our machine has. That is the main selling point, obviously, when it comes to heavy equipment, is how many hours is on it. I understand it's low hours, and I understand you guys are looking at, been mentioned of maybe renting. However, without fixing it, I don't know, you're almost looking at close to scrap iron price, possibly, because it is inoperable as it sits. I was hoping that a new valve that we purchased for a little over $2,000 was going to fix it. As it turns out, the failure is in the housing itself, and so this is where we're at to fix it.
So 14,000 to fix it,
Yes,
and that's includes shipping.
that does
Everything that
include the shipping. Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and the machine's worth roughly 70,000.
70, 80,000 probably.
As fixed.
You know, it could bring more than that due to, I mean, equipment prices have just
Right.
went through the roof along with everything else these days. You know, if it was purchased in 05 and given the hours, if this is the biggest expense that we've ever had with this machine, that's not bad. And it's not costing us anything to sit. It's bought and paid for.
You're sure this will fix it?
Yes. The you know, the other factor with the rental too is you have to not only the cost per hour, but if there's any damage or anything like that, as to whether or not the county would be liable for repairs, you know.
But we have 2 smaller ones now that we could use also for some things that this one probably got used for, right?
To a certain extent. You know, we're looking at a pretty big job with lagoons and trying to source clay. And we went to the quarry and looked at what they had. We're going to have to move some topsoil before we can get to it. You know, a job like that would be ideal because it has such a large capacity bucket to load the trucks. It's going to be a slower turnaround because we only have a 24-inch bucket with smaller machines. So it's a lot more cycle time to get a truck loaded.
Right.
Granted, even if this was approved, I wouldn't have it fixed by the time that job kicks off. I know there's been talk about some other large jobs that I've been made aware of that I think it'd be a good fit for, or something has the same size. I know, excuse me, and I know it's been brought up several times too that for some of our bridges and log removal and having the reach and the capacity and the counterweight. As it turns out, we're in new territory. CAT has never done an application for a Swiss Army knife the way we're doing it. There's a lot of weight out there already with a thumb. And Benzit's is near zero turning radius. You're limited on to how much, once you get out there with the reach, you get a little tippy. So,
Well, we tried to fix it cheap.
right.
It didn't work. So this is where we are. I think we should go ahead and order the part and try to get this machine back running and look into whether we're going to be using it enough to warrant keeping it or sell it.
I mean, I think we have to get it fixed. So we can either use it or get top dollar out of it, so, but more of a, put a limit of what we're gonna spend on it, and if it doesn't fix it, we get rid of it and be done with it and start renting. How much should the machine weigh, do you know?
I don't have that number in my notes.
What number is it?
It is a 210 LC-7 Hyundai.
Cost, what, I mean, what would you need? 13,000, you said? Is that what you said?
14,000 with shipping included.
So you thinking fix it and then use it and, or fix it and use it until it breaks or sell it? What do you think? Or it doesn't, I mean, what do you,
Ours aren't very high on it for 20 years old if it fixes it.
I think we see kind of what it is that way and what uses we're going to have, what needs we're going to have. And we can come in after we get it fixed and get it operating and try to talk with the foremans to see whether they think it's going to be beneficial that we keep it and start making those plans.
I'm looking at Volvo, but with Hertz Rental, they look like they're about $5,000 a month for a machine. The biggest
How much?
machine they have, $5,000 a month. Is, pretty, typical.
I don't,
That's with a 10 foot 6 reach.
that's not near big enough. How the reach on this one's
Oh,
20.
I'm gonna say almost 30 foot fully extended.
Max loading height of 21.4
Oh, that's
feet.
that's the arm length. I mean, the max depth height would be 23 feet. I mean, that's digging depth is 25 feet. So max reach 36 feet. So pretty big machine, but we ain't gonna be doing nothing with it if we don't get it fixed, right? I mean,
That's right.
so you guys in favor of getting the part, getting it fixed, and
And going from there.
are the parts gonna keep getting harder to get for it?
That's just the thing. I did find a source through Van Keppel, and they do service Hyundai machines, and they actually sell them. However, they were considerably more expensive, and they did have access to the control valve.
It weighs 24 tons,
And
I just-
they were
48,000 pounds.
20-some thousand for the part that they had. And they're all factory OEM.
So it's the
same
same part. It's just
Yes,
there.
and there is some warranty that comes with it. And I did inquire about whether or not, that warranty would come whether I installed it or if we had to take it to a shop. The way I understand it is that they felt like I was qualified enough to install it and they would honor the warranty.
Okay.
Have you done a total inspection of the machine? I mean, do you think this will be the last thing? I mean, if we Or do we need to consider something else and try to get this thing back up to operating and then be done, or, and then use it or sell it?
Honestly,
Because I mean,
I'm hard pressed to speak to that because I haven't run it a lot. As near as I can tell, there's not much else wrong with it. And this just was I don't know, for lack of a better word, a fluke deal. Mark was on a job putting a entrance in, and it just all of a sudden come to be.
It just continues to operate. Is that what it does?
Yes, it has a spool valve and it sticks, and once it sticks, it either sticks in the crowd out or the crowd in position, and there's two spools that control that, and when with the one stuck, it's constantly wanting to move, and so you're having to power through, and
Really good.
which is going to overheat the hydraulic system because you're in a bind all the time.
So do you need a motion to approve the purchase?
You want to do it up? It's 14,000 was the,
You said that included shipping.
do you foresee anything else that, I mean, do you need to do? other
There gonna be
parts
more
or
seals
fluids
or-
There will be some seals because I'll have to go back with all brand new O-ring. They're flat face O-ring fittings. So, I mean, do it right and put all new seals in it. I don't believe it's going to be, it's not going to, it'll be less than $500 for the O-rings.
So if we did a $15,000 limit, or, not to exceed 15,000, what do you think?
Yeah.
You good with that?
Commissioners, I don't know if it makes any difference on your motion, but I would, with the auction that we just got completed in our special equipment fund, I would think to keep on track for our budgetary limitations, that would be an appropriate place to pull this from.
Yeah, there's no reason we couldn't take it out of there.
Okay.
Make a motion that we allow Daniel to spend up to $15,000 for the parts to fix the big excavator.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Daniel.
All right, we got about 10 minutes, then we got interviews, right? Yeah. You guys got anything else, Gary?
Nope.
Dave?
And one other thing I wanted to bring up to you, we were talking in the office the other day and came up with the date of December 12th, which is a Tuesday for the employee holiday dinner and awards program. We do have someone lined up who's willing to do most of the cooking. This is the one in the past that a lot of times commissioners have either paid for it or at least contributed to the cost. So you guys want to discuss how much money you want to put into it, and we kind of know where we're going from there. But Vicki Leonard, former commissioner, has said that she would do the cooking, and she used to do that for the dinners when she was a commissioner.
I'm not good.
So along with her, we'll get some people lined up to help her. But
So what did we do last year? Like, it's like $100 or something? a
I
piece, or-
think so. And last year we hired somebody to bring food in from outside, but we were kind of going back to more what we used to do and have it, our own people fix it this time. And
Do we have a place? Are we doing it out there? Or your church,
we've
or-
got the Christian church here in town reserved for that date. So,
December 12th, you said?
yes, which would be a Tuesday.
Should we speak with Vicky and see what she recommends on, I have no problem splitting.
Well, I don't think she's just starting to look for the supplies she'll need, so I don't think she really has a cost in mind yet, but
What have we spent in the past?
like I say, I think we did 100.
75, 100.
100 is what it has been,
Per commissioner.
Okay.
Commissioner.
That may or may not have covered the total cost. I don't think it covered it last year. I think we just had you guys put that much in, but by buying the food and doing it, I think we'll probably be a little cheaper this year. So it's hard to tell until you start seeing what kind of deals you can get and buy the supplies.
Right.
We don't need a motion, I'm just gonna.
No, I just wanted that,
Roundabout.
let you know what date we'd come up with and to think about putting money into it or how you wanted to handle that.
I'm good with 100 if,
Me too.
Okay, well, we can work with that and get things
Okay.
lined up.
That'll work, David.
All right, open up for public comment.
I just want
Okay.
Emily Thies, I have a question pertaining to the open seat on planning and zoning. Sorry, Mike. I'd prefer you to be there. So next week, we have our planning and zoning public speaking, public forum. And we had talked last week after the meeting, Danny, as far as the position, if I know that Darren's going to be doing a lot of that, but I can't confirm, but we have heard that once next Tuesday takes place, that it may not be a quick decision. It could be, I don't know, 3-6 months as far as them to look at requests in Article 14. So we were thinking about it as far as the open position, which is in your district, it's in our district. And that's where EDF is coming in and wanting to put all of their stuff in it. So my request is, can we possibly get this position filled sooner rather than later? Because we just want to feel like we are represented fully by having 3 people in our district that represents us. And I know it's a tricky issue in as far as throwing somebody into it that hasn't been into it, but I just want to put that on record because, I mean, if it is 6 months, let's just throw out a number and I can't confirm or deny. I mean, there's a lot that can be going on. Then there's the conditional use permits if it's applied for before anything is. Is there any movement that we can get? And if we're not going to appoint somebody until after the regulations have been looked at and possibly changed or not changed, could we get the moratorium until all of it is figured out?
Well, I know that's something that Darren and I have kind of talked about. You're right, it's kind of, what do you do? I mean, bring somebody in the middle of this big issue, not really an issue, but this big decision or not.
So here's my thought is if we get down and there's nobody in it and we have 4 people and they vote opposite. So then who breaks that 5th vote?
It comes to us at the end of it anyway, I mean, correct? I mean,
The chairman, one of the 9,
I don't know.
So,
if you're down 1, then, yeah, you'll have a tie vote. A tie vote is considered a loss, whatever the motion is, that could be a vote.
They could negotiate back and forth.
Because that's where we would end up having an issue on our end if that's why we just feel like, especially in your district with the seat being empty and all of the solar panels coming, or proposed to come to our home, so.
it's something I'll talk with Darren about and we'll try to get moving on it. I had kind of briefly spoke with you guys last week about it. So and you guys know where I'm at and I know where you're at. And I'm glad you mentioned it because it totally slipped my mind again. I'll try to talk with him after the meeting today and
Okay.
and I'll fill these guys in and email for David or something and try to figure something out. So
Okay.
I can't answer. I don't really know what the right answer is to you. So, but it's been discussed. It's definitely a thought in my mind for sure. So, yep. I'll see what Darren has to say. I'll talk with him in private and try to figure out what the best plan is there and what we can do. And it's been thought about for sure.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, we're gonna be going into executive session for our road foremans. We got, what, 2? 1, 2, what do we need? 15, or,
Start there.
I don't think so.
You gotta just, if you're gonna do 15 minutes with one, and then if you need to extend with him, you can. What you think, and then 15 minutes will probably what you need to do one.
I'd say 15 to get us.
Okay.
When's the second one coming at 11:15 or is it?
I haven't talked to him.
they were scheduled 11:30.
Oh,
At the 15 and then.
going for 15, yeah. And then,
Then you may wanna go back to 15 without that interview, and talk about that interview, and then repeat the process.
so we can make a motion, could be to go in there for 30 minutes total for 2 interviews and then adjourn. Or how could we say that?
Well, if you say you can set whatever time you want right now, but if you're going for less time than you think you might need, I wouldn't want to say you're going to adjourn at the end because you may need to come out and make an
Okay.
addition.
Extend.
Can't act until,
So we'll just make a motion to go in executive session for for total of 30 minutes.
We don't want to do that 'cause
See.
unless if he's not
Elected personnel.
Yeah, but I mean, that'd give you time to talk about that one too, if you got that one here.
if you get to 30 or even 45, you can just talk, and you just can't act until that time's up.
Right.
Okay.
So 15 minutes apiece is good.
Start there.
All right, I'll make a motion to go to executive session for 30 minutes total for interviews.
I'll second it.
Motion been and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion that we extend our executive session for 20 more minutes.
Go ahead.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're back. We did have some motion or some action from the executive session for the road foreman interviews for the North Shop. We did have, and this was our second go around of interviews. We had some really good candidates, in-house and out-of-house people came and interviewed, and everybody did great. It was a pretty hard one for us, so we took a little extra time, did a second interview, and just want to thank everybody that came in that was part of the interview, and we have made a decision.
I'll make a motion that we approve Jesse Walton at a 12A, which is 22.2187 for the road foreman position.
Contingent upon these drug,
Correct.
I'll second that.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Uh,
I don't believe we had, David, you got anything else? I don't believe we have anything else, and so I will make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.